Hi there, welcome to a slightly different episode of Modern Retro Review. In this review, I'm going to be looking at a remastered version of Bubble Bobble, as you can see from this title screen, which is part of the remaster. So, the original game, released by Firebird in 1987, the Commodore 64 version I should say, that's what I'm looking at, was released in 1987 by Firebird Software, and it's a very good version of Bubble Bobble, but a team has decided to remaster it, and predominantly that means improving the graphics. So I'm just going to read a little bit of information from the itch.io page that you can download this from. It is available as a free download or name your own price. So it says, Bubble Bobble C64 Remastered is a fan-made radical enhancement with all new graphics of the Commodore 64 version of Taito's Bubble Bobble. The game was met with critical and player acclaim upon release and is regarded as a great classic for the C64. This project was started in January 2025 by David Bottino, retro games creator of Toki C64 Remastered fame and a journalist at Zap Magazine Italia, with the goal of improving the graphical fidelity of the C64 version while preserving its classic gameplay. So just to move down, the version 1, which came out on October the 6th, so just a few weeks ago, has got completely redesigned graphics. Bub Bob enemies and the final boss have all had a full makeover, redrawn and animated pixel by pixel straight from the arcade original. Most levels have been completely redesigned, that means as in terms of the graphics rather than the actual layout. The rest got a nice polish or colour tweak, and some even proudly strut in 3 colours instead of just 2. Food and bonus items were 100% juicier, and some even got swapped out for fresher ones. Pon is back when you pop bubbles. It says Pon in the arcade version, and they've done that here. And the font is now 100% Taito arcade approved. There's also miscellaneous fixes and improvements. I'm just going to press the spacebar here to load in the main game, now that that title screen and the backing music is finished. So it says, popped enemies drop the right goodies, secret doors and teleport doors each have their own graphics, several inaccuracies such as potions, bombs making the screen flash green, big and small diamond colours not matching. There's a few miscellaneous fixes and improvements there. The continue system has been fixed, so no longer is there a split second continue. You can now press the button anytime after game over, credits permitting. And there's also, as you've already seen, a new intro, which is a beautiful fan-made loading picture kicking things off in style, and a brand new rendition of the iconic arcade tune to get you in the mood. Technically speaking, that was the tune that you're also hearing now, which is unique to the C64 version of the game rather than a tune from the arcade. This music is only ever available on the C64 version, possibly some other home computer versions, but definitely not the arcade. So anyway, I didn't really mention the title screen because I was talking through all that, but the title screen is really nicely done, but it doesn't have the classic 80s style of Bubble Bobble. It was more the sort of redesigned graphics for later versions of the game and artwork for the game, I would say. Anyway, so in terms of who created this, as mentioned, graphics and coordination was done by Davide Bottino, hacking and tools by Victor Widell, and the intro screen was designed by Simon Marson. The music was done by Aldo Ciumio, apologies for the bad pronunciation, I assume he's Italian, and introduction code was done by Antonio Savona. So there you go, that's all the background to this game. As you've just seen, there was a title screen there which has now gone off because of my nattering along, and it's gone to this title screen, which is a slight redesign of the original title screen of the original version released in 1987. So what I'm going to do is go now and play that original version so you can see what the graphics looked like back then, and then come back and play this version. Okay, so here we have the title screen for the original version of the game, reasonably well presented. I'm not as good as the remake. As you can see, the font is very generic Commodore 64 font rather than the arcade style font. You've got the 2 characters there, you've got the summary of the score and things like that, very similar to the newer version, but yeah, the newer version you can see is a little bit better presented. So anyway, let's get the game started so we can see a couple of levels of the original release of the game. Here's the intro. Okay, so here we go with classic Bubble Bobble, which is a very good version of the game on the Commodore 64. It's not perfect, and one of the things is the graphics, I guess you could say. It got a speed power up straight away, which is handy. Just going to let those 3 enemies just sit there for a second. The biggest issue, if you want to call it that, with the game on the C64 is how quickly the enemies escape from the bubbles. They're out of the bubbles very quickly. You can already see one of them's about to escape there, and they'd already escaped once. and that prompts also the hurry up, where if you don't hurry up, Baron von Blubber comes and gets you. That comes more quickly as well compared to the arcade version. So when you play it standalone, it's fine, but when you go back, if you play the arcade version more, which I obviously do now, it's available in MAME and all those kind of things. In fact, I've got a version of it, an actual arcade board as well, in my home arcade. So yeah, when you go back, when you play the arcade version, you see the differences more. But anyway, that's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about the graphical comparison. I will be interested to see if any changes have been made with the gameplay as well, though. So yeah, basically what you're seeing is the levels are pretty colourful. I'm just going to go through a few levels. Basically, the main sprites of your characters are not ugly, but they're not as attractive as they were in the arcade. And I think that's one of the significant changes that's been made in the new version. I'm just going to try and get to the point where the whales appear, which I can't remember exactly when that is, but just pop a bunch of bubbles and get through a few levels just so you can see what the original version looked like, and then we can do the comparison more easily. You can see the fruits when you... Oh, I've lost a life. Like I say, I'm not playing it too seriously at the moment. But you can see the fruits that appear when the enemies are killed. The enemies, again, they look like close representations of the arcade versions, but they're not quite the same. So let's just see if we can get through another couple of levels. Can't remember when the whales show up. He's very slow when you haven't got the speed power up, more slow than I think the arcade version. So yeah, I do like the C64 version. It is the version I played most when I was a kid, but it is inferior to the arcade version in a number of ways. Let's just get rid of this one. No slight on the programmers that programmed it at the time. You were never going to make an arcade perfect port of the game on the Commodore 64, obviously, but don't really want to play too many more levels. But I do want to get to the point where you see, well, you are seeing a second enemy now, which is the little the guys in the robes. Can't remember what they're called. Are they called the miters? I think they're the miters. Oh, there you go. This is handy. I've got the umbrella, so I can skip a few levels. Should see the whales show up on something fairly soon. Oh, how far are we going? Okay, the level with the hearts, which is a bit drab looking on this version. So you can see the whales are missing a bit of detail, and the level with the heart is a bit drab with all the white. So, oh, I've lost a life again. Didn't see that enemy coming from above. So I'm not trying too hard to play it right at this point. I'm just trying to show some of the graphics. Got rid of a few enemies there. There we go. No, didn't take any enemies out there. This is going terribly. I think we've seen enough of the original version of the game. Let's now go back to that title screen for the remastered or enhanced version, whatever they're calling it, and take a look at how it's changed. Okay, so back at the title screen for the remastered version, you can see that the graphics for Bub and Bob are more nicely drawn. The layout, as I said, is basically the same. It uses the font that is from the Taito arcade game, or as close to it as possible on the C64. So let's get started anyway. This screen has been redesigned also, not dramatically. It's not got the bubbles flying around or anything like that. It's just got the graphics redesigned and the font change. So here you can see straight away that the design of the three enemies on this level is much more colourful. They're blue instead of grey, and they look more like their arcade counterparts. I've got a bonus level power up right from the start there, so let's just collect all those. The colours are nicer as well. The colours are pink, which I don't remember if that's what the colours were in the arcade, I must admit, even though I've played it a billion times. But the design of the levels is more nicely done as well. So finally we move on to the next stage. That was a bit slow, but I've got 100,000 points and extra lives immediately because I got a potion on the very first level, which you would not normally get playing the first level of Bubble Bobble. I think the C64 version is a bit more generous with the power-ups. So movement of my character is equally slow, no code changes in that respect, and I don't think there's any code changes for how quickly the enemies come out of the bubbles either. That still seems to be the same, so that's a little bit of a shame. That's the one thing I would change if I could hack the code myself, is to make it more representative of the arcade game. Well, this second level definitely looks nicer. The design of the platforms is much more close to the original, and also it's got 3 colours as mentioned. Some of the levels have been redone with 3 colours for the background graphics rather than just 2. I think what they were saying there is that every level only had 2 in the original Firebird release of the game, I guess, is what they're saying. There's a big old power-up to be collected there, I'm not sure what that gives me. But again, the fruits you can see have been redesigned as well, so they more closely resemble the arcade versions. Again, you've got the 3 colours on this one, and the colours are definitely... It's funny how I can remember what the can't remember what the colours were on the first level in the arcade version, but can remember what the colours are on this 4th level, and they're spot on, or as close to it. Again, you're not going to get quite the same level of vibrancy because it's a Commodore 64, but at least the colours are closer to the arcade version. This guy's going to kill me, yeah. Normally I'm pretty good at Bubble Bobble. I can usually get like hundreds of thousands of points. I'm not used to playing the C64 version like I am the arcade, and the movement of the character is a little bit slower, I think, until you get the speed power up, and also the way he jumps is a bit different. You still have to push, unsurprisingly, push up to jump rather than having another fire button. You can't do anything about that on the Commodore 64 unless you've got one of those pads that you can map the up to a second fire button on. That was nice. I got another bunch of stuff there. So yeah, I mean, they've done a good job, and we'll get a bit further into the game so that you can see some of the other levels that they've done, the graphical designs and stuff like that. They've done a good job. It doesn't really change the game in any dramatic way. There's not been any code hacks done to improve or make the game closer to the arcade original. It's purely graphical, apart from a couple of little things which we'll get onto later. The continues are now implemented slightly differently. Ooh, remember what I said about the game being quite generous with some of the power-ups. There's another bonus level there. So sorry, I don't know what we call it, bonus flask, that's what they call it. So I've already had 2 of those, and I've only done 7 levels so far. Can you get all these? I'm going to have to go over and jump off that other platform. There we go, that's another 100,000 points. Doing alright for myself. Bit of a shame I lost that life early on, but I'm not really playing it for perfection in this review. I'm just playing it to show the differences between the original version and this enhanced version. There's a bunch of extra power-ups going up, and look, immediately after, on the very next level, another bonus flask. You just do not get that in the arcade version. Everything in the arcade version is based on... It seems random, but it's not. It's based on things that you collect. So I can't remember what you have to collect, but you have to collect a certain number of things or interact with enemies or burst a certain number of bubbles to get everything in the game. And that includes the bonus flasks. So it's impossible to get 2 on consecutive levels in the arcade version. But in this version, it's very generous with them. Very slow after you've done that bonus flask collection to actually move on to the next stage as well. So I have got a power up with the bubbles at the moment. They're firing them really fast across the screen, which means I can get all these guys before they... and look, it's yet another bonus flask. 3 levels in a row. I mean, if you want a big score, this is the version to play, I guess. Should have got that N, really, for the extend, but... so that's 3 levels in a row, it's giving me a bonus flask. And that's nothing to do with this remastered version. That's the original game code, but yeah, that's overly generous. But it's great for me if I want a massive score, because I'm getting close to the point of getting another extra life now, and I've had to do basically nothing so far. In fact, there it is. There's the extra life, and I'm almost on 500,000 points. And as you can see, the graphics, you know, within the colour palette of the Commodore 64, which is notoriously a bit drab, this level in particular is not looking as good as the arcade version. But you can see the whales are on the screen now. I'm not sure if they were... This might be the first level that they turn up on. I can't remember what we saw in the previous level. But they've got been redesigned. You can see the eyes on the original version of the game, if you recall, were black, and in this one they are white, so they're more closely resembling the arcade version again. Let's get this one. Blow a load of bubbles, because this level gives you... Oh, I didn't burst it. This level gives you a bunch of extra things for every bubble that's popped. That's every 10th, the first level and every 10th level. All the bubbles turn to fruits and stuff, if there's any left on the screen when you kill the last enemy. So what I think I might do is play a bit further through the game and get to the point where the other enemies appear, so you can see what they look like in this version of the game, rather than play through the whole thing. I don't have a lot to say about it right now. It's Bubble Bobble, and if you don't know Bubble Bobble, then why are you even watching this channel? So yeah, I'll move on a few levels on, maybe to sort of the mid-teens or maybe towards level 20, and see what else we can see in terms of enemies and things like that. It's that time again where I say thank you to all my channel members, whose names you can see here in my Supporters Hall of Fame. If you're enjoying this video and would like to join these fine folks and support my efforts, why not become a member yourself? For a monthly fee starting from just 99p, you can get access to the special membership perks shown on screen, and more besides. If you're interested, then please click on the join button below this video for more information. So actually, I'm only a couple levels on. I lost a couple of lives on the previous level, annoyingly. I thought I'd show the heart level, because that was a bit bland looking on the original C64 version of the game. So I thought it might be nice to show that the improvements. Oh, that's handy. Got the lightning bolt to kill all the remaining enemies there. Yeah, so definitely an improvement here. You can see it's still white, and I think it was white and red in the original version, and it's like done more white and pink there, which just looks a little bit nicer. So I've still got a bunch of lives left. Ooh, that was close. Oh, and there goes another life. The bubbles definitely don't seem to respond quite as quickly, firing the bubbles, and also I think the collision detection's not as good as I remember it. I've said this before on my one of my videos, that this version is it's great until you're used to playing the arcade version, and then it has a few little quirks and idiosyncrasies that just make it not quite as playable. It's a bit of a strange thing to say that it's not, because I played it forever when I was a kid. So it's a bit of a strange thing to say that it's not as good as I remember it, but that is the case, unfortunately. See a D in the bubbles there, which would give me an extend if I can get up to it. There we go, so that's going to give me another extra life. Not sure if this screen's been redesigned, didn't see it in the original version, and I haven't played the original version for a good amount of time. So I'm going along nicely. Basically, what I'm planning to do is go along to the point where I lose all my lives. So you can see another change that was made to the game. Another level completed. Okay, so I'm now on my last life, so it's only a matter of time before I lose another one. Oh, and there we go, I've lost it. Yeah, sometimes you pop those bubbles, they don't go the way you want to with the water. So here we go, this is what's different. In the original version, you'd only get a fraction of a second to press the fire button to continue. In this version, it'll stay on this screen forever until you either press the fire button to continue, which I'm about to do, or you can press Q to quit the game at that point. I don't know how I feel about that, because when I play Bubble Bobble in the arcade version, I play one credit. I generally, even though it's obviously well renowned as being a two-player game, generally speaking I play on my own, and I play one credit and see how far I can get. This takes that away. I suppose you can press the Q button to quit the game, and it has the same effect, but yeah, I don't know if I think that's an improvement or not. I think if it had a counter, so a countdown counter for you to be able to continue, I'd have been okay with that, but it just being able to press fire to continue indefinitely just doesn't feel right somehow. Doesn't really matter, but it doesn't feel right to me. So yeah, I don't know if I'd call that an improvement or not, but I suppose if you want to play it and get as far as you can and not have to worry about... That's annoying, isn't it? Fell right on top of Baron von Blubber there. Yeah, if you want to get as far as you can and you don't want to have to run the risk of not being able to continue because it drops back to the title screen, then it is an improvement, I suppose. But as I say, I don't know how I feel about that. Well, I do, because I've just said how I feel about it. Anyway, I'm not going to play for too much longer. I know that there's more enemies coming up on the next level, so and maybe a couple after that, so we'll carry on for a little bit longer, see what we can see. I hate this level. It's because it's the last level before you reach the secret doors on... Oh, and I've fallen straight down there. Before you reach the secret doors on level 20, if you get to this level and you die, that opportunity's gone and you've just gone through 19 levels. And I just never get it right. I never get the jumping across the top of the level right to get to the middle, because you need to get to the middle to kill the enemies on the opposite side if you're playing it as a one-player game. So yeah, I hate this level. It makes me angry. But I'm not really having that problem here, actually. The problems I've had of my own making, really. There we go, I've finished it. That's the place I fall over, is getting across that gap there quite often. And then you're stuck down this and you end up getting killed. But anyway, I've got past it. So here we go, here are some more enemies on level 20. The floaty round things, I don't know what you call them, I can't remember. Is it pulls or something like that? I don't know. Nobody cares who's watching this video. I'm sure somebody does. But, yeah, so they look nice. They look close to the original. They are usually orange or yellow, I think, in the arcade game. I guess, obviously, you're limited to some extent with what colours you can use for enemy sprites and things like that. So, fair enough. So here you've actually got to jump on this bubble and get up to the top, which causes its own problems. Or you could drop down the bottom, I suppose. Maybe that's easier. So yeah, I haven't really shown my proficiency at Bubble Bobble in this video particularly well. I am usually better at it than I'm showing here. As I say, I haven't played the C64 version for a while, and I think you do have to have a few games to get used to the differences between this and the arcade version. So I think I'll just play now until I die, and since I only have one life left, that's probably not going to be too long. I think it's a few more screens before any other enemies from that we've not seen before come into the game, so this might be the last you see of any different enemies. Get these guys to jump out the top. Again, I think this works a bit differently than the arcade version. I think they all jump out the top almost immediately in the arcade version, but here they just get stuck in the middle. So there are ways it could be improved programmatically, but a complete rewrite of the game wasn't the aim of this project. The aim was just to do the graphics predominantly, and yeah, they've done a nice job. They've done probably the best that can be done with the capabilities of the C64. So if you're looking for a version of the game with closer to the original arcade graphics, this is the one for you. Oh, and on that note, I've just lost my last life, so I'm not going to continue again. Oh no, I'm not sure what happened there. I thought I was on my last life. I must have got an extra life. Oh yeah, there's an extra life, 30,000 I think, isn't there? So still going on a little bit longer. So yeah, as I said, it's available as an itch.io download. If you want to get yourself a copy, you can make a donation to the guys that have done the work if you enjoy it, but it is worth mentioning that this is based on copyrighted work, so whether you should be giving them money, I'm not really sure. Down to your own. Oh, that was annoying. The enemy must have come out of the bubble just as I jumped up to kill it, which is a little bit frustrating. It's skipped on to the next level though, even though it's game over. This is where it's a bit quirky. I'm not going to continue, as I said, but there you can see those floaty enemies going around, an umbrella on the screen, a crown, all these nicely redesigned graphics. They've done a good job. As I say, it doesn't make the game any different. The game was good anyway. It's not perfect compared to the arcade version, especially if you're used to playing that version, as I've been moaning about as I've gone through this video. But that's enough, I think. You've seen 20 odd levels of this remastered version of Bubble Bobble. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave me a comment and let me know what you think about the game and my thoughts about it. Give the video a like if you want to as well. That's it for this video. Until the next one, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you.